welcome back to Speed Freak Garage, home of power sports on YouTube. We're here with our 1987 Porsche 944 rally car, also known as Porsche McPorscheface. So in our last event, which was well over 6 months ago, we blew our engine into pieces because it overheated. And the overheating problem is because of these frame rails, which are only 24 inches apart and don't really leave room for a properly sized LS radiator. So first of all, I'd like to apologize for all the background noise. I got an order for 100 custom keychains, so the CNC mill's been running almost non-stop. And then secondly, I want to give a huge thank you to Van Svensson, who has a really awesome 944 race car, and just like us, he actually races his LS Swap 944 for real. And he also had issues with properly cooling the engine. So he was kind enough to send me pictures of how he solved the cooling problem. So what we're gonna do in this video series is we're basically going to steal his idea. Again, thank you, Van, so much for your help. Make sure you guys check out his YouTube channel and subscribe to him. So we are going to take a 24-inch wide by 19-inch tall radiator, and we are gonna jam it in here. The only way to do that is to cut out the core support, and the radiator is gonna come from right under touching the hood all the way down to the skid plate, and it's just barely gonna fit. However, there's some issues with this. This radiator is designed to have a filler cap. The Porsche is designed to have an expansion tank, and expansion tanks are actually better than a filler cap. So I have a coworker who has done some of the most beautiful TIG welds on aluminum I have ever seen. So I'm gonna take him the radiator, we're gonna cut off the filler neck and cap it, and then we're gonna put in a bung right here at the top of the tank for a steam port, and then down lower we're gonna put a bigger bung for the expansion tank. So we're gonna basically put the bung right where this hose is right now, because this is a really good location and I've already got everything lined up. Now the other issue is, it really doesn't have anything to do with this video series, is my wiring harness that I spent a year on is probably not going to be long enough once we put the bigger radiator in, because the wiring harness was actually down here, and now it's going to have to be either up here or it's going to have to go inside of this, which taking this apart's a nightmare. So that's a whole different, I'm not going to make a video of redoing a wire harness, but just to let you guys know, this is a major change that we have to make to this vehicle in order to get the proper cooling. And then we'll do a separate video series. So Renegade Hybrids, which I bought new headers and a new oil pan from recently, they believe that I need better oil cooling. So this little tiny oil cooler is completely insufficient, and they recommend at least doubling that, if not more. But how am I gonna fit that in here? I have no clue. I might have to relocate the battery. But anyway, I wanted to thank Renegade also for giving me advice on oil cooling and trying to get this car back on the track. So the first thing we're gonna do is cut out this core support, which is just gonna get jigsawed or sawzall. There's really, I mean, I guess I could use an air chisel to chisel out these rivets here, but sorry, spot welds. Honestly, seems like the best solution is to just cut it out. So we're gonna go ahead and cut it out, and then we'll come back once that's done. Okay, this will be a lot easier to show you with my phone. So we made a rough cut across the support with our cheap Harbor Freight Sawzall, and I don't want to cut this support here because it's holding the headlights on. So after cutting through there, I went down and cut there, and I tried to cut down here, but the spot welds are just too hard for that cheap Harbor Freight blade. Again, we cut all the way across, cut through here, and then tried to cut. So now I'm gonna go get our air chisel and air chisel down, because I know the air chisel can take out spot welds. And then all of this will be out of the way, and hopefully we can slip the radiator up. We might have to flip these screws the other way or get countersink heads so that they clear the radiator. And then we can test fit the radiator and then mark it. We will mark where we want our bungs so that this is at the correct level for the expansion tank, which this port here on the back of the tank is actually supposed to be for a steam port to go to the engine and to the tank. So one of our many problems was that we didn't have this hooked up correctly, because I'm a super smart engineer. Not a mechanic. Let me make that clear. I'm not a mechanic. I'm an engineer. So, yeah. And there you have it. It's out. That cheap air chisel did a great job. There's some leftover issues that need to be cleaned up. We need to grind this back nice and smooth away from the radiator. All of these really nasty cuts up here need to be ground down and cleaned up. Same over here. This needs to be ground back away from the radiator. I just need to get the radiator halfway test fit in here to mark the bungs. And there's a lot to do, because this has to come out. All of this in here needs to be redesigned to redirect airflow to the radiator. I haven't decided if I'm going to cut holes in the bumper. I don't know if the Rally Association would even allow me to cut holes in the bumper for airflow. They've been unbelievably strict about the rules this year, and they keep making changes. So every day I don't even know if my car is going to be legal the next day when I wake up. This is all restricting airflow. It needs to come out or get holes cut in it. Basically, we need as much airflow as humanly possible through the front end of the vehicle for this radiator. Okay, so I went ahead and installed the old drop bracket. So it's like a 1.5 inch drop from the original radiator location. It's not exactly the right size for this radiator, but I can make a new one pretty easily. However, up here, we've got this little lip here that helps strengthen this support. It's in the way of the tank. And same over here, this little lip is in the way of the tank. So I can't even test fit the radiator until I get rid of that lip. I'm gonna have to go get my grinder, grind the lip down, and then I can come back and get these bungs lined up where they need to go. Anyway, I'll come back in a sec after well, it sounds like my key change just finished, so I gotta go deal with that, and then I'll come back. Alright, so we got our nice angle grinder, 60 grit. We really messed up that wheel. We did it a lot of work. So we cleaned all these edges up. We ground those down flush to try and make room. We ground that back nice and smooth. All of these cuts have been smoothed out. Same here. I need to come back and touch that, but everything's flush now and clear of the radiator. I probably should grind off that little nub there, maybe clean this up. And here you can see a better view of this tray. I'm probably going to remake the tray so it fits the radiator better, but it would probably work in a pinch, which we're kind of in a pinch because we've already wasted enough money. But anyway, I'll finish cleaning this up and then I'll come back once the radiator is in place. Okay, and we're back to the head camera because I need both hands for this. So I was able to gently persuade the radiator, and by gently I mean I dented the tank, into position over here on this side. But on this side, this neck here is in my way. So this little side piece of the neck is gonna have to be ground down somehow because it's preventing the radiator from going in. So I'm marking it as a delete. It's gotta go. Okay. Now what we can do is we can take our 1/4 inch NPT bung, and I chose not to go with an 1/8 because 1/8 inch NPT is pretty weak. So we got 1/4 inch NPT bung, and what we want to do is we want it as far up as we possibly can get it on the tank to get as much air out as possible. So really I'm going to put it all the way up at the top here, and I'm just going to mark around it. Just general location, and then in the center, not that it matters. So that's our 1/4 inch bung. And then I wanted to do a 1/2 inch bung, but it's too big. So this 3/8 bung is gonna be the biggest we can fit. So you can see this tube comes down and it's pretty stiff on where it wants to be. We don't want it touching the fire extinguisher line. So we want it up a little bit, and we also have to consider this is going to be back another inch. So we want this up away from the fire extinguisher line, right about there. So I'm going to make just a little dot to help me line up the bung. Okay, so then this 3/8 NPT bung. Wow, it's right where I dented the tank. I'm intelligent. So anyway, I didn't think a 16-ounce rubber mallet was gonna dent the tank, so I feel very intelligent. Okay, so this will be our 3/8, and this will be our 1/4, and then this whole neck needs to go. And it's not gonna work. So the whole neck's gotta come off basically as low as possible. And I'm gonna CNC a plug that fits down in here to plug it. So we're gonna X out the neck. The neck's not gonna fit. Yeah, and that's really all I might even have this re-welded. It looks like it'll clear the engine when I switch to -1 Corvette spacing. We won't know until the engine's in, unfortunately. This here, I like how this is a AN20 or 20 AN-20 fitting, because I can get all different kinds of connectors for this to get it over. I'm probably going to do an LS3 pump, meaning that the inlet or outlet or whatever is going to be way over here, so I'll have to come around and down, which is fine because the LS3 pump allows for a larger throttle body, which I've had issues with also, with that giant freaking restrictor plate taking up a bunch of space. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wedge the radiator back out. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it back out. I persuaded it quite heavily. Okay, good. I was a little concerned I might have over-persuaded it, which technically I did, considering that I damaged the tank. Huh, oh no, look at that dent. Oh man, thank God it's aluminum. Oh wow, okay. Just so all of you guys know, you cannot use a rubber mallet to persuade, or dead blow, that's dead blow. 16-ounce dead blow is not okay for persuading radiators. So I'm gonna leave this upside down so it doesn't get any dirt or debris in it. And we'll get it over to my coworker, who again had done the most beautiful TIG welds I've ever seen. So we'll get it to him with the bungs. It would be important to bring those with me. And then we will come back for part 2 when the radiator is ready, and we'll custom make a new lower bracket most likely, and we'll start custom making some new air diverters to get air from the front through the radiator and then out those of you who are watching the hood louver video, our beautiful new completed hood louvers from Al at Race Louvers. Al is an awesome guy, so if you need race louvers, give him a shout. That's it. Thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you next time.
Try not to hold me down, feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at those beautiful stars, I wanna drive a